G'day and welcome to Wine Week. I'm Danny.
And I'm Brad.
And I'm going to kick off this week with a wine that you'd normally finish things with. a Yalumba viognier that is a botrytis viognier. Specifically, botrytis is a mould that grows on the outsides of the grapes, sucks the juice out of them, concentrates them beautifully into supply, little sticky, sweet gobs of fruit, and when you make a wine out of it you end up with gorgeous dessert wine like this. Now the reason I'm doing this week is because over the weekend I had to go over to a wedding in Adelaide, and on the way back dropped through the Coonawarra. Now this isn't a Coonawarra wine, this is actually a Wrattonbully wine. Wrattonbully, like 20 odd k's kind of northeast of Coonawarra, and subtly different. A little bit more kind of rolling hills through there, which means that when there's a little bit of moisture in the air, it can hang on the grapes and not just turn into frost and kill the grape. So you can end up with a beautiful dessert, sort of sticky wine like this. Different to kind of see them coming out from a viognier grape. Usually we're kind of used to seeing botrytis wines coming out mainly as Semillons, occasionally as Rieslings. Viognier just a little bit different and really quite nice. This kind of around about $20 odd would go beautifully with a bread and butter pudding, especially if you tossed out the sultanas, cut up some diced apricot in there as well, because that is a classic Viognier sort of flavour. So have a look at that. It's something a little bit different, beautiful from Yalumba.
So just out of the Coonawarra, and that's where Dan's spent a bit of time, so we thought we'd have a look at a couple of other Coonawarra wines and have a look at a Wynn's, which we've had a look at a few Wynn's over the journey, and look, there's one in particular that we're going to feature on the show in a little bit, but we couldn't manage to source it for today's show, so we thought we'd have a look at one of the tried and trues. This is a pretty regular Wynn's staple, this one. This is the Cabernet Shiraz Merlot, often referred to as either the red stripe or perhaps even the Essendon wine. Now you might recall a few weeks ago we sat here in our Essendon colours, all hopeful that the year was going to get off to a flying start, but it hasn't quite gone that way. But enough said about that. Hopefully featuring this wine will give them a lift this week. But look, this is a great value Aussie red, and a lot of people will know that Wynn spent quite a bit of money in the last few years, or going back a few years, to go through the vineyard and really spruce things up again. And this is a wine that's really come back into great form and a remarkable value. Look, its recommended retail is around the $20 mark, but it is one of those ones that just gets the guts cut out of it, and it gets discounted really heavily. You can pick it up as low as sort of $12, $13 a bottle, which is great value for the quality of fruit that Sue Hodder and the team have got to put in this wine. It's remarkable value. So if you're looking for a really good, cheap and cheerful wine that can also last a few years in the cellar too, then the Essendon wine from Wynn's would do you quite well. Yeah,
we will look at another Wynn's in the coming few weeks, something that I hadn't tried before, got to its cellar door and really fell in love with, so keep an eye out for that. Anyhow, last wine we're going to have a look at this week, the Highbank Coonawarra. This is the 2004. If you remember going back a couple of years, a previous Highbank, I think it was the 03, made our best dozen, our very first best dozen. This, the 04, absolutely ripping follow-up. Look, Dennis at Highbank doesn't have a huge cellar door like Wynn's. Wynn's is gorgeous, enormous big stone cellar door. Dennis, a little stone cottage there, not too far away, but brilliant wines, absolutely. This is gorgeous. Now, it is over the $40 mark, so it's not super cheap, but this is a beautiful wine. Chocolatey, leafy, kind of those gorgeous kind of subtle hints of mint that Coonawarra bring to Cabernet. And if anybody is making great Cabernet that shows that it's not just Margaret River these days, Dennis is definitely one of those people. It is a truly spectacular wine, this, and if you see it on a restaurant list or in a bottle shop, grab hold of it. Look, this is on a lot of very good restaurant wine lists. You'll find it down at the Press Club. George, who's very well known for MasterChef at the moment, and that reminds me to tell you, if you're following us on Twitter, you've probably seen a few tweets of us doing some wine matching with the great MasterChef food that's going out there. So if you're a MasterChef fan, make sure you follow us on Twitter. But the Highbank, look out for that. That is a ripping wine.
Yeah, and it is one of those ones from the great 2004 vintage, which we featured a number of them a few years ago, and if you can get your hands on that, do well.
Yeah, definitely will. Anyhow, that's it for this week on Wine Week. We'll see you all again soon.
See you next week.